I had these obsessive desires and thoughts wanting to control them, to, I don't know how to put it, possess them permanently.
And that's why you killed them.
Right. Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me. And as my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons.
What exactly is a serial killer? There are hundreds of recorded cases of serial murders going back centuries, but the term serial killer is actually fairly new. The first known published reference found in a New York Times article found from 1981 that describes serial or pattern murderer. A serial killer is someone who murders 3 or more people, taking place over more than a month and including a long period in between them. Majority of serial killers had a very difficult or traumatizing childhood. Many times they were physically or mentally abused. Lack of parental guidance can lead to children filling in lonely voids in unhealthy ways. Ted Bundy, for instance, one of America's most well-known serial killers, had an upbringing that may have caused him to do some of the crimes he committed. Ted Bundy was born on November 24, 1946, in Vermont. His mother considered placing him up for adoption, but his father insisted that they keep the baby. At first glance, the Bundy family seemed very normal, but his grandfather suffered from depression, agoraphobia, and had a raging temper. Some Ted Bundy experts even theorized that Bundy was a product from his grandfather raping his mother, though she denied it. Bundy may have experienced physical or psychological abuse from his grandfather. Things like this may tie into why Ted was the way he was.
How can a traumatizing childhood affect a person?
Well, your childhood is they're your most formative years. So if you had trauma after trauma after trauma, you can develop a inconsistent attachment pattern, which could cause an individual to not be able to form good, strong attachment in romantic and unromantic relationships. It could cause you to be fearful. It could cause you to latch out. You're in this heightened fight or flight response, which is running from something or fighting something. So you're always in that response. So you're always ready for bad things to happen.
Genetics can also play a role in a serial killer's mind and ways. Studies have shown that many serial killers come from people who are antisocial, prefer an isolated environment, and don't empathize with others. A recurring disorder that many serial killers have been found to have is antisocial personality disorder, which is a clinical mental health disorder, informally known as sociopath. This disorder can be passed down and be a disadvantage. This disorder can include hidden and explicit hostility, a lack of fear of dangerous situations, a failure to learn from their consequences of their good or bad actions, and a lack of remorse for harming others. Of course, there are other conditions that can play into one's dispositions, but this condition has been found to be a majority of serial killers. Serial killers seek the ultimate thrill, and this typically is what drives them to do what they do. This includes being motivated by the adrenaline rush, the stalking and catching of their victims, and having complete control. An intense drive some serial killers experience is knowing that they are the cause of fear for other people. They get a deep satisfaction of being in control of media, law enforcement, and citizens. Although many serial killers sexually abuse their victims before killing them, it is not always the sexual satisfaction they desire, rather feeling in control when they mercilessly take what is not theirs. With every 5 out of 6 serial killers being male, dominance is crucial. Serial killers are human. They breathe like us, they eat like us, they go to their jobs, and some even have families to take care of. They hide in plain sight, invisible to the naked eye. Ed Kemper killed a total of 10 people. He also killed his own mother and paternal grandparents when he was only 16 years old. He went to a juvenile prison until he was 21. When he was released, he was forced to go to a psychiatrist. Ed Kemper blended in so well that at his last psychiatric appointment, Ed Kemper kept a decapitated head of one of his victims in the trunk of his car, while he walked in and got signed off that he was now fully recovered. Head trauma can affect everything about a person. Our frontal lobe impacts a person's ability to make rational decisions. Aaron Hernandez was 27 years old when he hung himself in his own prison cell. Aaron played for the New England Patriots for 3 seasons and even got to the Super Bowl. Aaron Hernandez killed 2 immigrant cleaners in a drive-by shooting. A year later, Aaron Hernandez murdered his former friend, Odin Lloyd. After his death, doctors examined that he had stage 3 CTE. Hernandez had a vast damage to his frontal lobe. He also had large holes in his brain.
What does the brain of a psychopath look like?
So if you look at PET scans of a control brain, which is like a normal brain, compared to someone who is a psychopath, you find that the bottom frontal cortex, so like this part of your brain, is less active. So there's a lot of like blues and blacks than like greens and yellows, which is kind of where you want your brain to be activity-wise. That shows that your body is metabolizing blood, essentially. That is kind of where your like amygdala is, your amygdala, and that is your mood regulation. So that's your impulse control, that's your animalistic emotions, morality, aggression, all of that. And so that controls all of that stuff, that orbital cortex. And so since they have decreased activity in that orbital cortex, they tend to lash out and not have a lot of moral reasoning.
Everyone who is the one is looking for the last of all. And if you are the one, my friend, you don't need to look anymore. And if you are my friend, say you know that there's no place left to go. Except through the music. How else do you think I can stop the confusion that's in your mind?